Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are setting the scene in Gramercy Park in very clear view of Alicia's apartment, where the rest of her small pack are waiting and watching, because we're not allowed to go anywhere just now by ourselves. But rather than overwhelm the Gangrel Primogen in the first meeting and discussion of the situation of Gramercy Park, they are waiting out of sight so that Alicia can speak with him alone. And she will be waiting at one of the benches, fidgeting slightly nervously because she's not entirely sure what to expect.
After 2 or 3 minutes, Alicia can spot a pretty large eagle circling around the park. And the eagle lands a couple of meters away from the bench, quickly takes the shape of Leonardo Vanore, the Gangrel Primogen, who, in an outburst of modesty, isn't dressed in one of his high-fashion suits. He's just wearing some trainers, pair of jeans, and the most informal shirt he could get his hands on, looking like a rabbit.
Alicia's actually in jeans and a vest top herself, and big sturdy work boots, but that's kind of what she always wears.
And Leonardo just slowly starts walking to the bench and noticing Alicia and catching her eyes. He just gives her a small bow.
And Alicia will nod and kind of gesture to the bench a bit awkwardly. She's not entirely sure how to react to an eagle suddenly turning into a person. She hasn't seen this yet.
Leo just takes a seat next to her. I believe you're Miss Hayward, am I right?
Yes. Are you the Gangrel guy?
Yes, my name is Leonardo Vanore. I am the Primogen, the elder, so to speak, of the Gangrel clan.
Cool. I spoke with your friend the other day, well, a couple of days ago, and I spoke with my alpha and so forth last night, and I just thought we should all be on the same page. And he said that only your clan kind of comes around here.
Well, this park used to be our territory, and from what the others discussed with your sept, Central Park was the only place where we weren't allowed to set foot. I had no idea you wanted to extend your reign over other parks.
Well, it's just that I've only just had my first change, so I've been working here for about a year, a year and a half, really. And my apartment is over there, and she'll gesture to the building rather than the individual window to avoid spooking him by the fact that there are 3 faces pointing peeking out of it. I mean, I'm the assistant park keeper, so I kind of feel like it is my park, and the alpha says that he supports that that territorial claim, but I mean, you guys have been here for a long time as well, and I understand that. So and he said that he will support whatever well, he said that it's my territory, so I can say who's allowed to visit or not.
Well, yes, I can imagine that you wish your territory to be well guarded and not intruded into, but I have to say that even though our families, so to speak, traditionally don't get along, there have been treaties of non-aggression signed. There have been alliances in the old countries signed between us, and I see no reason why we should not work together, especially since we are called the clan of the wolf.
But you were just an eagle.
Yes, we develop abilities over time. Some of us shapeshift into diverse kinds of animals.
Okay.
And
But yeah, so the gist of it is that as far as the wolves are concerned, this is my territory, and I can say if you guys are allowed to visit. And for the moment, I'm going to say that the Gangrel are allowed to visit the park. So you're allowed to kind of spend time here. It's just if people start causing trouble, that might have to change.
well, it depends on what trouble means. If it comes down to protecting the animals in the park, of course we're gonna protect them. They're as much our concern as they are yours.
Well, I do care about the animals in the park, but I kind of care more about the plants. Well, not more about the individual plants, but I mean, like there's a lot of plants, and I look after them.
I can assure you, even though it is a custom of ours to usually gather around the fire, I can assure you that none of your plants were harmed. We usually make it in a safe place as to not hurt not even the grass that we sit upon.
Well, I am glad to hear that. Um, but yes, you might want to give me a heads up if you're going to start fires. Just so I know that it is you guys and that you are starting them in a safe place, and I can kind of check that and then leave, and let you guys do your fire thing. Because I mean, we had a big bonfire last night, so so, you know, fires are not necessarily bad. It's just kind of I need to check if you don't mind. It's just better than me showing up and not knowing that it's you guys.
Yes, not to mention the fact that even though this is a pretty nice part of town, hooligans tend to show up and we don't want trouble.
Yeah, that kind of happened uh, quite recently. Out of
Well,
character, you might have noticed, if you've paid much attention to the park recently, that one of the trees was a bit charred. It has all of the ground around it has been replanted, and it has been kind of tended to, but someone did try and set fire to it almost a fortnight ago. Not quite a fortnight ago.
would it be visible from the bench that they're sitting on?
Yeah. Um, yeah, we'd be sitting on a bench fairly near to that because her first change was when someone set fire to one of the trees.
Noticing the charred tree, Leo gets up from the bench and walking a few steps toward that tree and pointing at it, he looks over his shoulder back to Alicia. I hope none of mine did that.
No, no. It was three teenagers. You can notice she seems more than a bit disturbed by it.
I see. Did you manage to find out who those punks were?
Not exactly.
Well, let us see if I can find more information.
I don't think that would be a good plan.
Well, it is our. You can obviously see the emphasis that Leo puts on that word, our park now, so we need to take care of it.
Yeah, they won't be back.
And Leo takes a few steps back and give
Yeah,
me a
she does
second.
look uncomfortable.
And I'm just gonna roll my manipulation animal kin, first dot of animalism, just to see. Oh, sorry. Charisma survival, sorry. Second dot of animalism, just to see who's around. One, two, sorry. 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. So you'd basically see all the animals in the park, which I'm suspecting to be mostly pigeons and small birds.
There's actually a small flock of canaries that Austin has invited to live there as well.
Basically, you would see all the animals in the park in a very Disney-esque style rushing towards Leo. And you could hear him basically making out weird animal noises. And
I take it you're asking them about what happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
Well,
roll for that too, just
it
to
would
see
have.
how much information he would get?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's see. And this is actually the first dot in animalism.
The canaries probably wouldn't be able to tell you much because they've arrived since then. But the pigeons and the squirrels might.
Seeing as we're talking about mammals, that's a difficulty of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. They're gonna tell you a lot. Almost everything they've seen.
Yep. Well, there were three teenagers. I'm not sure if they'd know they were teenagers, but three relatively small people. Well, not that small. Yeah, three people, and they started a fire, and then suddenly a giant wolf thingy jumped out of one of the buildings and tore them to pieces. And then some other wolf thingies showed up.
You can see Leo just waving his hand and dismissing the animals around. And you can see he's looking at Alicia with a, a bit of discomfort. It's like, yes, from what your friends tell me, the boys have been dealt with.
Yeah. What did they tell you?
Basically, they told me that they were dealt with, so to speak.
Yeah, she does look very uncomfortable.
There's no reason to worry, sometimes it happens. Humans tend to be troublesome.
Well, I didn't mean to. But I'm
We all
told,
lose ourselves sometimes. It comes to our nature. It happens to us as well.
yeah, I'm told that that the first time tends to be a bit more violent than most.
And you start getting bad memories of the first time. You can see Leo looking at above the skyline and basically remembering what happened to him when he first was turned. Yes, uncomfortable memories.
But we can't change what happened. So yes, yeah, we were talking about the park. Um, so yeah, that is the gist of it. That the other says it's mine, and he said something about if you want to argue about it, to come and meet him personally. But I'm not sure how friendly that invitation was.
You can tell your alpha that I have no intention of arguing with him, and that he knows as well as I do that even though the feud between our people and yours is ancient, there is no need to be violent, and there's no need to clash swords, especially in recent nights since other matters require our attention, and since common enemies seem to show up.
Oh, did you bring the photos?
Ah, yes, you can see Leo reaching into the pocket of his shirt, just handing her small stack of Polaroids. They're like 5 or 6, representing each of the Camarilla gangrel in the city. Yes, these are my guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the general attitude will be that you guys are allowed to visit unless you're causing trouble, or unless there is some specific reason, like if we're getting a visit from some of the less tolerant werewolves, in which case we might have to ask you to leave that particular night. Just because yeah, I'm very new to this, and I'm not very sure that I could necessarily vouch for your safety in that circumstance.
You
And
see,
and I think it's better all around if I just politely ask you not to be there that night than if anything kind of happened.
well, and let's use Leo's really nice and parenting voice. So, so yeah, let's put Leo in daddy mode. So manipulation, empathy, just to see how nice this guy could be. And I'm thinking of a difficulty of 7 since Alicia's a bit squeamish around him. Okay, fair
Mhm.
enough.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 successes. So he's a bit convincing. Not extraordinarily convincing, but still pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Well, dear child, you have to know that I have no intention quarreling or creating trouble, and neither does my kind. We are less savage than you give us credit for, less savage than most of you give us credit. And we do not attack people in plain sight, and we do not attack people for the sake of killing. It is our nature that forces us to indulge in weirder, culinary tastes. But I can assure you that no harm shall come to you or to our park or to your kind, if you can assure us of the same thing. And you can see Leo reaching into his pocket and pulling out two small, like about this size, two patches of cloth. Out of character, they have the logo, the wolf's head, the clan logo of the Gangrel embroidered into them. You can see Leo handing both of them to Alicia. Keep one for yourself. Give the other to your alpha. Keep the one for you in plain sight, and none of the vampires of New York City, at least none of our tribe, so to speak, will do any harm. And you can ask them for help, should you require it.
I'm not sure the Alpha will respond well to that.
You can tell him to remember the days of old when we used to fight together, and you can tell him.
I'm not sure if he remembers those. He seemed more of the fight against type. He's not very nice to, well, quite a few of the werewolves, let alone anyone else. He's very mean to some of them.
Well, show it to who you think might lend you an ear. I'd rather have an alliance or a ceasefire rather than.
And you can see a bit of relief there.
There are worse things out there. There are things that go bump in the night, and there are things that. There are even other vampires that are not as civilized as we are. Of course, most of us might.
Yeah. Your friend said something about them torturing him.
Yes.
It didn't sound very nice at all.
Vile people. I know that some of us do not smell right to you.
Well, none of you smell right to me, but I know what you mean because Aaron he smells things differently.
But I can assure you that the ones I'm talking about do more harm than fouling the air around them.
Yeah. Yeah, there does seem to be a lot of very bad people around.
And one last thing before I go. You can see Leo reaching into his other pocket and pulling out a business card and handing it to Alicia. Should you ever need anything, give me a call.
Okay. And she will pull a notepad from her pocket that she's and pull off a sheet that she's written her phone number on, and she'll hand that over. Though he probably got it from the phone call earlier.
Leo will just take the piece of paper, look at it, fold it, and put it into his pocket.
And if you need to have any fires going on, or if you need to talk to me about any other kind of vampires that are likely to be around and stuff, then you can call me. And I will do my very best to make sure that nobody ends up hurting anyone else. But as I said, I'm kind of very new at this, so I'm not sure how much control I have. So it might be more of a friendly warning to not be in the park that night than actually being able to protect your people. Just I don't want to promise more than I can do.
I know. We all have our elders, and we all have to answer to our higher up. It happens to every one of us. But I appreciate your help, and I appreciate the fact that you want to share this beautiful little park with us. And you can see Leo was thinking a bit. I don't think you're gonna have any trouble from us, as long as your brothers who do not like us specifically avoid the park for a while.
Yeah. I don't think many of them will be coming this way yet, but they were talking about some ritual thing. I think it will take months and months to plan, but some ritual thing that makes places more special, and I don't really understand it. But I think if they did that, then they might be less happy about me letting vampires in.
Well, is there anything, any threat to you that maybe we could help with?
She'll bite her lip because she's not entirely certain if she's allowed to tell you about this. There are some bad werewolves around, and there's someone that is doing some nasty things, but I'm not really sure how much I can tell you.
You can see Leo just kneeling down to meet Alicia's gaze. You know, you can trust me, child. It is not the first time I have allied myself with the lupines, and I tend to be a man of my word.
Well, you know how you have the nasty vampires, the stab hat people. Those ones.
So bad.
Those ones, yeah. Well, I'm not really very clear on this yet, but I think the spirally people are kind of like that. There's some very nasty werewolves around apparently, and some of them are in Queens, and yeah, I don't really. But the thing is, I don't know how you would tell them apart from the normal werewolves, so I'm not really sure how much you can help on that.
We can
And
use
I
our
don't know how to tell them apart from the normal werewolves yet.
we can use our noses, and I'm not trying to belittle you, child, but I think I can use my nose a bit better than you can, because I am a bit older than I look.
Okay. But yeah, so there's some black spirally people, and they're around somewhere. But I don't really know much apart from that some of the others were asked to go and deal with them.
I see. Is that all?
And well, someone has been skinning people.
Skinning people.
Yeah, I don't really understand most of it, but we're not supposed to go anywhere by ourselves at the moment.
Then how come you're alone here?
Because they're over there. And she'll point to the three faces that are kind of watching out the window.
Leo just noticing the faces. I see.
I didn't want to kind of scare you by bringing people out here when we're meeting, because I was told, I'm not sure, but I was told that I can probably take most of your people by myself, and I don't know what I'm doing yet, so I can only imagine what would happen if they were out here too.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you want to ask me, or can I take my leave?
No, no, that is everything. And thank you for this. And hopefully everything will go smoothly.
Mm.
I'm not sure, but hopefully.
And Leo extends his hand. And you can see the fact that he looks human for all intents and purposes. It's
Yep.
been a pleasure.
And she will shake his hand.
And she will notice the fact that when she touches his hands warm, and she can feel a faint pulse.
And she'll say, "You're a bit warmer than the other guy. Have you eaten recently or something? I don't really know how that works."
Not necessarily. I just didn't want to scare you.
Oh, okay.
You can see Leo just standing up, bowing a little to Alicia. Start walking to the end of the park, and halfway through the alley, just turning into a falcon and flying away.
And I think we will end the scene there as Alicia heads back to her apartment.